Hello, my name's Joanna, and today I'm going to read you a story called The Bees That Made Cheese, and it's a story about ambition. I actually wrote this story, and my friend, Rich Ward, he drew these pictures. So here we go. This is a tale of a bee on a mission, a story of courage, of hope and ambition. It starts with a cow on a farm in a dairy, and a bee who was feeling rather contrary. It was late afternoon on a warm summer's day. A frustrated bee had wandered astray. To some it would seem his future was bright, but a career in honey just did not excite. "Dear cow," said the bee, "what am I to do? I've created quite a hullabaloo. You see, us bees, we're born with a plan. We've been making honey since time began. But I have a problem, such misfortune for bees. When surrounded by flowers, I hysterically sneeze. I don't like the smell, and it tastes far too sweet. And it's always so sticky on my hands and my feet." And the more he spoke, the more he got flustered. "Do ants make jam, or do spiders make custard? There's no other insect with such obligation, a life making honey with not one day's vacation." But when I told my parents, they looked so upset. They believe this is something I will later regret. And the bees at the hive, what will they say? They'll joke, they'll jibe, and they'll turn me away. Until now, the cow had said not a word. She grazed, she chewed, she looked unperturbed. Then suddenly she spoke and said out of the blue, "That doesn't quite sound like a good job for you." "But fear not," said the cow, "it is they that are fools. It is your life, my friend, why don't you make the rules? Of course the unknown can be awfully scary, but have you considered a career in a dairy?" Up sprung the bee with all of his might. "My gosh, this is it, I have now seen the light. A new goal I have, this chance I will seize, to launch a new brand of cheese made by bees. But first," said the bee, "I must resign from the hive. I must get back before they finish at 5. Thank you, dear cow, I'm sorry to mope, but you've given me courage, you've given me hope." Back at the hive before the whole swarm of bees, his sweaty bee palms and his shaky bee's knees, he spoke to his queen, "This is not about money. The thing is, I just don't want to make honey. I'm a hard-working bee, it's not that I'm lazy. I just have an idea you'll think kind of crazy. I now see my future in making some cheese, so I ask you kindly to dismiss me, please?" "Very well," said the queen. "From the hive you are freed, but don't you buzz back when this doesn't succeed." From his home he fled, and he made for the dairy, with a new life ahead, but a little bit scary. Said the bee to the cow, "Teach me all that you know." So the cow gave instruction, both simple and slow. "The milk must be whipped and then churned and then stirred till it makes a nice creamy, luscious cheese curd." Day after night after day in the yard, the bee practiced long and the bee practiced hard. The work was tough, but he had the foresight to know that success doesn't come overnight. Then one day he travelled right up to the city to show his bee cheese to the cheese tasting committee. A line of old men who looked doubtful and grumpy, tasting cheese far too sour and cheese far too lumpy. At the table behind the long line of cheese, his sweaty bee palms and his shaky bee's knees, I know this is different, and some might say absurd, that a bee should be able to make a cheese curd. The men, they all scowled with quite clear disapproval, and the fat man soon ordered the bee's quick removal. "Get out of this room, do you think this is funny? Go back to your hive and go back to your honey." But just then, the boy in charge of serving lunch turned and said to this frightful old bunch, "A bee that makes cheese? Well, you would be suspicious, but I kid you not, this cheese is delicious. I'd serve it on sandwiches, I'd serve it on toast, I'd serve it on potato jackets even after Sunday roast. I'd serve it for breakfast, for lunch and for dinner. I'm telling you, cheese made by bees is a winner." The grumpy men tried it, tasting one by one, and slowly their grumpiness was soon to be undone. Raptures of applause, cheers of exclamation. This cheese made by bees is the best in the nation. Back to the dairy on the southerly breeze. "Well done," said the cow, "for your prize-winning cheese. You challenged the norm, you made a new start. You pursued your dream, and you followed your heart. But you're not alone with your crazy ambition. I, too, have a plan that defies tradition. I, too, have been thinking of changing my trade to be the very first cow to make marmalade." The end. And the moral of that story is, you can be anything you want to be.